G'day everyone and welcome back to the channel. Well, as you can see, it's starting to dry out. We're coming into summertime now. We're in springtime here.
Still very hot.
We're still getting a bit hot. As you can see out this side of the world, our mower broke down about 4 weeks ago.
When I was mowing.
And
Don't worry, I didn't do anything.
Anyway, it's taken a bit of time for us to get that back. So we're a little bit behind the 8 ball at the moment, as you can see. You might be asking yourself, where's our swales? Well, this winter was so dry, I didn't want to dig the swales because there was nothing to capture in them. And the other part of it was my budget, okay? Truth be known, everything costs money. We had a few repairs to make on our cars this year.
And we got solar panels on the roof.
Yeah, we've got some solar panels rocking as well. We've done a few little projects around the place and we've had to put the swales on hold. So I'm hoping either next year or the year after, hopefully next winter, we start to see some serious rain back again, but I'm not going to hold my breath for it. So anyway, we thought we'd bring you back, have a look around the garden. As you can see,
things are thriving.
Yeah, the grass is getting a little crazy around the beds, but things are growing quite well. We're going to do a rejuvenation on this bed today. As you can see, we've got a few empty beds these days. We've just finished cleaning out things like our cabbage beds and our cruciferous veg beds.
And we have planted some strawberries
in the bed over there. We've got some strawberries on the go. We've got some leeks and celery rocking on over there, and we've got some carrots and spinach and cos lettuce, and over here we've got some cabbages finishing off as well, the winter crop of cabbage. So we've got some collies. Look at that one. Look at that very beauty. And it's a lovely one. We'll have to pick that today. Yeah.
There's some cabbages still going in there.
Yeah, look, we've done really well on the cabbage and collies and broccolis this year. Hey, I made about 5 or 6 decent sized jars of sauerkraut this year, which is absolutely unreal. I've never done anything like that before, but for any of you that know me, I'm a qualified chef by trade, and you know, last year when we were getting produce out of the gardens, we started making some pickles and things like that. And this year, I think what we're going to do is, as we get some excess product coming out of the gardens, is we'll start filming how we make the pickles and how we preserve the food. I think that's going to be really important as well.
Food safety.
Yeah, we can show you a bit of that sort of stuff. So food security more than anything else, right? If we can, in these days of the increasing financial burdens that we're all having due to inflation and higher mortgages and things like that, you know, growing a bit of your own food. We don't grow a lot of food. I've only got 8 garden beds. I'd like to have 16, but you know, that's going to cost some money. This 8 cost me around about $1,000 to set up as it was. So now, things aren't cheap to start off. They're relatively cheap to run once you've got them up and running though, so it's not too bad. But you know, look, we don't grow all of our veg, not by a long shot, but
cats been digging
something. Oh, the bloody cats have been in there. I know, they're hopeless. But look, something's better than nothing, right? So, but anyway, look, we'll keep bringing you on the journey. We haven't done many shoots of late. Carl's been doing some shorts of old work that we've done, and they've been, you know, fairly popular, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah. So, how many subscribers have we got now, mate? 20?
15.
15. Well, that's better than none, I suppose. Anyway, so look, what we're going to do today is we've got some tomato plants ready to go in the gardens. We learned a few things last year working with these beds, and what that was is we learned that we were overwatering. So once a week we'd fill up the reservoir in these beds, which is about 100 litres of water.
Wow. And
now we'd do that religiously every weekend, right? So that's 800 litres of water a week. And then, you know, I sat and thought about it afterwards and did a few calculations that, you know, would we be pouring 800 litres of water a week onto a garden bed if it was in the ground, in the soil? I thought to myself, probably not, right? So, because what we're talking about is, this basically equates to 1.1 square metres per bed. So we've only got about 9 square metres of garden space, relatively speaking. So it should never take 800 litres of water a week. So, and then we also had issues with fruiting. Our tomatoes, the fruit was split and they were getting attacked by insects. And, you know, our pumpkins never fruited once. I think they were getting too much water. Our watermelons fruited, but not crazy amounts. We probably got about six or seven watermelons off of 3 or 4 plants, which wasn't crazy. So this year, the thrust is going to be on water management in these beds. So what that's going to look like, I think, is we will be watering every 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to start off with 2 weeks. I suppose at the end of the day, what really is going to drive the watering is, are the plants wilting? Now you can see here, you might think that's wilting, but that's not. That's the bloody cats getting in the garden beds in amongst the carrots there, little
Well,
buggers.
the cat, like in this
Yeah,
bed.
so in general, you know, I haven't watered this bed. I think the last time I watered this bed was nearly 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, and
it's
the
moist.
soil is still moist. So all of these beautiful plants, we've got this spinach growing here. It's going crazy. We've got carrots coming on. It's a bit of a self-mulching effort on this bed, but you know, it's things are coming along slowly but surely. But yeah, so we're going to have a crack at the water management now. One thing I want to show you before we get into planting this bed out is, for those of you who've been watching the channel, the last couple of shots you would have seen us growing beetroot in this bed, which I went on to make a caramelized onion and beetroot relish, which I'll show you that recipe one day when I get some more beetroot in stock. Really tasty. I also did some pickled beetroot, so most Aussies like a bit of beetroot on their burgers, and this stuff is deluxe, I'm telling you. But what we did was all the greens from the beetroot, I dug into the soil and I covered it with mulch. I just wanted to see what that soil was going to look like after all that beetroot greens cooked down. So I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll get this pot over here and we'll scrape off this this mulch, and we'll have a bit of a look on what's underneath here, eh? Because as you can see, I put the mulch on quite thick. Right, so we'll just pull that off, and we'll reuse this mulch once we plant the tomatoes out. And we'll also look at hitting this whole garden bed with some wetter soil as well. But let's just have a bit of a look at what has happened in this bed in particular after I dug in all of those beetroot tops. Now I do have a compost tumbler down at my mother's house, but I worry a little bit that I won't have enough green material to put in it. That's why I haven't brought it up here yet. Having said that, I could have put all of this gear in there and that would have worked out just fine, but I'll look to doing something with my compost tumbler eventually, I think. But for the time being, I'm just buying compost from the shops in bags at the moment. And I normally, when I rejuve a bed, I dig a bag in here. I mean, I would like to live in a place where I have lawn clippings coming off the lawn every few months, but we don't. It's very dry here in the summertime in WA. All right, I'll leave it at that. Like I say, we'll reuse all this mulch in a minute when we plant the plants in, but I just wanted to have a look in this bed and show you. So as you can see, this bed has had no water in it whatsoever, apart from just what comes out of the rain. Look at how beautiful, dark and moist that soil is. You can take it from me. Beautiful, dark and moist. And all we've done with this bed is we dug in some greens, and we you know, the rained on it, but we haven't seen rain here in probably a month, 4 weeks. If you look at that soil, beautiful, moist. You know, I'd even hate to think how much water's in the well at the moment, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. But we're going to turn this bed over, because of course there's going to be areas that it's dry. But I just want to show you this side that's had all that green dug in, along with the mulch on top. And this is why mulching is so important, all right? Especially
in the summertime.
Well, any time of the year, really. We've got a little slack over the winter time. We didn't mulch so much, but it is really important. One, it'll add an organic element to your bed, and this mulch that we use is called Triple C.
From
so
Bunnings.
It's corn, canola, and chook poo. I'll tell you what, it's fairly rocking stuff. The plants absolutely love it. But as you can see, the soil is beautiful, friable, moist, ready to go. All right, we cover that with about 100 mil of the mulch. Now, have a look at this side of the garden bed. This is the same garden bed, different side altogether, uncovered. Now, it is moist,
but it's dry.
You've got to go a long way down to get it. All right. but for the most part, the top section is dry as buggery. It's actually quite moist underneath. So it's still holding moisture, which is good, but I think we can do it a little bit better. All right, so we'll, as you can see, there's dry spots everywhere. So what we'll do is we'll get into this. We will chuck a bag of, I've got to chuck a bag of compost in anyway, because it's always a good thing to do. Certainly isn't a bad thing to do. And we'll turn this bed over, and we'll get to planting. We'll plant some tomatoes in there. So we've got 6 tomato bushes. We took them out of the, we had them in the, got to give them to us from one of my wife's friends in these little tubes. Now, when I plant little seedlings like this, they haven't been really successful because they haven't got a good developed root system. So I put them into these 110mm pots, and you can see over the course of maybe 3 weeks, they've grown into beautiful little plants like this. The roots are starting to come out the bottom holes, which is great, which tells me the roots are on the run. So we'll plant them into this bed. The roots will be down that far, right, which is well and truly in the moisture zone. So we should start to see, a week or two of transplant shock, and we should start to see these really start to boom from there. I believe they're Roma tomatoes. This year I'm going to stake them, so we've got half a dozen stakes here, and we're going to take off any lateral stems that develop on these as they grow, and hopefully we'll end up with nice bunches of tomatoes growing from these bracts out of in between these lateral leaves. These are more leaves than stems, but any stems coming out of this section here, we'll take them off, and that's where we'll get the growth of the tomatoes. All right, so let's get into it. Pretty straightforward stuff. Just empty that in there. As you can see, Osmocote, I do tend to use what I consider to be a good product. I consider Osmocote to be a good product. Hasn't let me down before. Well-known name. As you can see, if you have a good look at this compost, there's slow release fertilizer in there. There's water retention properties. It's a compost, all compost, but this one has an added element to it. So beautiful looking compost, I reckon. We'll get our fork in there. We'll give it a good turnover. Then when we plant these plants, what we're going to do is hit the soil with some wetter soil. I do like wetter soil. I reckon it works great. Even though we can see it's moist anyway, we're still going to hit it with some wetter soil just to make sure. Oh, look at those worms in there, mate. Hey? Hey, look at those. Beautiful. Fantastic.
They're the ones we found on the ground.
They are, mate. They are. When we built these beds last year, we got the kids and we started moving some of our pot plants around, and we found all of these worms just laying underneath the drip trays on the pot plants. So oh, look at them all, mate. Look at them all. Beautiful. So we got the kids into catching them, and we put them in the garden beds, and hey, look at that. There's certainly
a lot more than I first thought.
Doing the job, exactly. I mean, how many we put in each bed, mate?
Oh, probably at least a handful.
Maybe a half a dozen, right?
The size of my hand.
Yeah, maybe a half a dozen. So, wow, they're really breeding quite well, the old worms, and of course they'll be creating their beautiful rich worm castings for the gardens. And maybe, this is why homegrown food, guys, I tell you can't beat it. Eh? You haven't got any of those poisons in there. We don't use any poison at all. The only poison that I do use from time to time is glyphosate, and that's around the fire breaks, just to keep the fire breaks down, so we don't have to get mechanical means on those every year, because it loosens up the soil too much and it flies away. So try to keep that surface soiling intact. So, but in the gardens, in the food gardens, there is no chemicals hitting these beds at all. As you can see, we've used insect netting to keep the insects off our cabbages, so we haven't had any white moths this year. Last year we got decimated by white moths.
But this year we now have slugs.
This year we do have slugs, and I'm not quite sure where the hell the slugs are coming from, but anyway.
There was this nice ripe strawberry on the strawberry plant, and then Dad was going to go to pick it, and then there were slugs that ate it.
I know, son of a gun.
And also some of the lettuce that got picked, that also got.
Oh yeah, they're full of slugs, but you know what, mate? It's drying out a lot. You know what I mean? The slugs aren't going to be around a hell of a lot longer because it's not wet enough. But I'm a bit curious to know where the slugs have come from. I even found some snails. So I don't even know where the snails have come from. Seems unusual. I haven't seen snails out here before.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, so a little bit of dynamic lifter. You know my feelings on dynamic lifter. I love the stuff. Can't go wrong. Pelletized poo.
Yeah, but it stinks.
Yeah, it stinks. Yeah, well, it's pelletized poo, mate. I mean, you know, it's not going to smell like flowers, is it?
No.
Eh?
No.
And you know, I'm sure the worms love it as well. But all in all, look at that, hey? Look at that soil. Now I bought 3 cubic meters of this from one of our local suppliers in Northam.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, it was bloody expensive. But it's been a great base for the soil. We just keep adding organic material to it, and it just keeps getting better and better. And frankly, the water holding qualities are fantastic, to be honest with you. But anyway, so there it is. That's our bed rejuvenation done. What I like about these beds is as well, they're a little bit raised, and so you don't have to, so far you're not getting down on your hands and knees. And you know, I'm not counting myself as an old fella yet, but you know, once you hit that 50 mark, your knees start to hurt a little bit more than they did the year before. So it's nice to be able to sort of be semi-upright when you're doing some gardening. So that's always a good thing. There we go. So we're ready to go, guys. Look at that, hey? And you can see the soil is bloody moist. You know?
And there's still wrappers, things from the Jiffy pods.
Oh yeah, Jiffy pod externals. Yeah, that's fine, mate. Yeah, don't worry about that. Just bury that. There you go. Job done. Fixed. Hey?
Pretend I didn't see that.
But perla. All right, so let's have a look how we're going to plant these plants, shall we? So I've got 6. I think this garden bed's plenty big enough for 6. I think if we do a bit of a stagger like this, oh, Mr. Wormy, you need to get buried, son, or else you're going to die in that heat.
Whoop.
There you go. So we'll stagger them out like that. We'll have a look at these ones here. Here we go. Maybe another 2 there. And then we'll go another 2 in the front there, I reckon. Huh? What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah.
I reckon that looks about right.
Put the camera down so because I'm
one there, one there. What do you reckon? Hey? I reckon that'll be pretty good. We can put our stakes straight in. Oh, look at the flies coming in, the dirty little buggers.
I know.
Coming in for the...
That's why I put the camera down, because I'm getting swarmed by it.
Coming in for the dynamic lifter, no doubt. All right, so I reckon they look pretty good there. And what do you reckon, Carl? Look pretty good there?
Yeah.
I reckon too, mate. All right. Let's dig some holes and put them to bed. I'll tell you what you can do for me, buddy.
Yeah.
If you want to grab the wetter soil.
Where's that?
And a couple of pot plants. It's up on the deck.
Okay.
A couple of pot plants and drag the hose over.
Okay.
And then we can give these a good water in. We'll also fill up the reservoir while we're here. Look at that. Beautiful roots. These are doing really well. There we go. We'll just press them in like that. Fantastic. And then what we're going to do after this.
And do you want the power feed?
No, mate. No, not for these today.
Okay.
We'll have a look at a power feed next weekend, maybe.
Yeah.
So we're going to take these pots. I have some zucchini plants that I want to plant in the other bed over yonder. But I want to put them in these big pots. Get some good root systems going again before we put them in the garden. I think that's really important. All right, here we go. And we'll dig a bit of a hole. A few dry spots in there. Oh, look at that. Hey, beautiful.
Good roots.
Beautiful root zones. There we go, press it in.
Oh, and I need to get the hose, so I'll just put that
Yeah,
there.
bring the hose too, mate. I need to do that. Okay. So, you know, I don't get home, I'm only home on the weekends basically. So my work takes me away a lot still. I'm not on a mine site for 6 days at a time, but when I'm down in the office in Perth, I'm staying at Mum's place during the week, and the last 7 weeks I've been out on one of my sites. We've had a few dramas out there, unfortunately. Nothing we can't overcome, but we're getting that squared away.
Oh, that's hot.
Oh, don't break
I'm
the
just
tank,
going to
Jace.
pretend I didn't see that. I bet
These
this.
flies are getting friendly. Hey?
Oh, that's hot.
Yeah, well, get the heat out of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to put hot water on these root systems, I'll die.
Yeah, I know.
Hey?
There we go, that's better. Do you want me to get a watering can?
Yeah, mate, you need a couple of watering cans.
Okay.
There we go. Beautiful. We'll go in and we'll put some stakes in. I like to put the stakes in at the same time as we plant, because if we do it later we might disturb the roots. I don't want to do that. This one's going to be interesting to keep this little one alive. Anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine.
The wind's starting to pick up
It
now.
is a little bit. Well, it is WA.
And it is hot.
And it is summertime.
And it gets even hotter.
It's not
so
summer, it's spring really.
It feels like it though.
There you go, that's how you do that.
Those stakes look a bit too big.
Nah, mate, she'll be right. You're better to have them taller than you think you might need them.
Okay.
Because then, if you can put short ones in, and they're too short, you can't make them longer.
This can needs wetter soil.
Hey?
This can needs wetter
Yeah,
soil.
mate, I'll be there in a sec. And of course, this year we're getting ready in advance for staking, because last year we didn't do it properly and it got a little messy, right? Remember that?
What?
Remember last year our tomatoes, we didn't stake them early enough and they turned to shit?
Yeah.
This year we're getting ahead of the game. All right. The old sea soil, wetter soil. Sea soil, if you're watching, I use your product all the time. Wouldn't use anything else. Fantastic. Between Yates and Osmocote, Scott's, fantastic stuff.
Isn't
and of
that
course,
awesome?
sea soil, what a legendary product. I use the power feed as well. Beautiful liquid
Plants love it.
fertilizer. Plants absolutely dig it. Fantastic. All right. So we'll go ahead and put this.
If you're not using sea soil, you're definitely doing something wrong.
Well, it's a bloody good product and I swear by it, so I use it.
By the way, we're not sponsored.
Okay, no, we're not sponsored. This is just a
Shout out to sea soil.
little bastard. See? Watch those flies, kids. They get straight in your mouth.
Especially when you're here.
I'm going back in, put all this mulch in. Now, what I like to do is wet the soil through the mulch.
I'm gonna go turn this
Right?
on.
And the soil's pretty damp. I'm going to fill up the water well as well. But I'll put the wetter soil through the mulch just to sort of help keep the mulch in place too, right? I don't want to blow it away with the wind. This is the only time it's going to get any warm moisture on top unless it rains. Is in the planting stage. So you can see all of that mulch has gone back onto this bed beautifully. And I've got some more there, and we'll put that on now. I bought this pot yesterday. It's a 47 litre pot.
We couldn't really make a decision on what pot to get, but we chose that one.
I wanted a big pot because last year our pumpkins and our watermelons didn't do so well in these beds. Now, were we overwatering? I'm going to go out and say absolutely we were overwatering. Once a week was too much. So I thought this year I'm going to try them in pots. This one's got about an 8 litre water well. My other one's got a 9 litre water well. And We're going to try planting in those this year, just to see how we go. Plus, I want to show those of you who either don't have the time or the space to set up a full-blown garden bed that growing vegetables in pots is a very strong reality, you know, and it doesn't take much. You just got to need a space that gets 6 hours of sunlight a day, and then you're good to go. And once you start growing your own food, you'll never go back. You'll never go back to store-bought because it actually tastes like real food.
Like,
There we go, guys. Here's our tomato beds. Don't they look beautiful? We'll bring you back in a couple of weeks' time, show you where we're at and how they're going. Well, we're going to do that in a minute, mate. That's for sure. So we know the beds are moist. I'm just going to water these plants in a little bit, because you should always water in your plants, get rid of any air bubbles around the root zones. Well, they don't like it. And then we're going to fill up the water well in the bottom. And I'll tell you, I swear by these wicking beds. I think they're fantastic. I think we've had some really good success, and we're going to hopefully emulate that this year and maybe even do a little bit better, just with the things that we've learned last year. Now, I've always been an avid in-ground gardener. The last property I owned, I had a huge veggie bed there. We stayed with my parents while we were developing the block out here, getting a house and that on the block a few years ago. We stayed with them for about 4 years. Yeah, about that. I don't know how the hell we didn't go kill each other living in that little house, but we survived, and we moved out here, and now we're on our own property. And fortunately, Dad's gone into a nursing home now with his Alzheimer's, so that was a good time to have stayed with them. Mum's living on her own. She's still living at home. I mean, well, you know, she's got heart failure and lung failure, so I'll tell you what, she goes all right, the old bird. She's her own worst fucking enemy sometimes, but you know, what do you do? She goes all right. She means well, and you know, she's not going to be around forever, so I suppose we should, you know, enjoy her while we've got her, I suppose, is the short answer. That's right, mate. Life's too short for drama. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's our tomato beds. So what we're going to go and do next is transplant me zucchini into those 100 mil pots. And I think we should have that on the deck, actually. Oh, we're going to, mate. Absolutely, for sure. That's all right, mate. She'll be right. So we're going to fill this bed up. It's pretty straightforward. All we do is fill it up via this standpipe, and then we fill it up until it comes out the drain in the front here. Really simple. So look, thanks very much. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming back for a look. We're going to try and do a little bit more regular content. I've got a couple of weeks off coming up soon. It'll be my first real holiday in about 3 years. So I'm going to be getting a bit of work done around here. What'd you say, mate?
that means 3 years. You haven't had a holiday in 3 years.
I've had 7 days off in 3 years, mate. Yeah. So this will be me. Yeah. I'm well overdue for it. So. Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, all that aside, the plan will be to get some work done around here, which will be good. Catch up on a bit of work around here, and you know, I want to go have a look a bit of a round of one of the nurseries. We want to buy some of our heritage trees that we're going to plant out into our swales eventually when we build them. But outside of that, thanks for joining us again. Good to see you all. Tell your friends, come and check us out. You know, even if you get a bit of a laugh more than anything else, that'd be good for me. That'd suit me. So look after yourselves. Try and you know, not get too stressed out with all the stuff that's going on in the world at the moment, and grow some of your food, and that'll make you feel a whole lot better about things. Take care of yourselves. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. See you again next time. Cheers. Good on you.